Blog Talk Radio.
The following broadcast is brought to you by the iGolf Sports Network.
Golf Talk Live is sponsored by the iGolf Sports Network and Golf Tips Magazine. Here's Andrew to tell you more about our sponsors.
iGolf Sports is a live stream broadcast and media production company providing quality programming designed to attract the golfing enthusiast. And Golf Tips, the game's most in-depth instruction magazine, including reviews on the latest equipment, tips from top teaching professionals, all designed to help you improve from tee to green. Welcome to Golf Talk Live with your host, Ted Odorico. Join Ted each week as he speaks with some of the best in golf. Sit back, relax, and listen to tonight's show. Let's join our host, Ted Odorico, as he introduces tonight's special guest.
All right, good evening, everybody, and once again, welcome to Golf Talk Live. I, of course, am your host, Ted Odorico, and always excited to be with you here Thursday evenings. We're wrapping up sort of our preseason, if you will, with tonight's show, and I'll introduce my very special guest this evening here in just a moment. But just a reminder, of course, we are live normally every Thursday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. Central or 7 to 9 p.m. for those of you on the East Coast here on the blogtalkradio.com network. And the best way to find us, of course, is to go to blogtalkradio.com/Golf Talk Live, and you can tune in live during those time slots. And if for some reason you can't join us live, then you can just go to that link and scroll down to the on-demand section, and you can listen to the previously aired shows in their entirety. But as I mentioned, this is sort of a pre-warm-up, if you will, to the season. This is Season 10. As I mentioned a couple of shows ago, I'm super excited. This is my 10th year doing Golf Talk Live, so it's hit that first big milestone, if you will. So I'm super excited about that. And next week, which will be the 3rd of March, it's hard to believe we're rolling into a third month, if you will, in 2022, but we are. That will be my full broadcast. So the last couple of weeks, if you've been tuning in, you noticed that we just did from 6 to 7 p.m. Central. We're going to do that the same thing tonight, or 7 to 8 for those on the East Coast. And then next week, we're going to get into the full show, which will be a 2-hour broadcast, and that will start off with the Coach's Corner segment, which most of you that have been following the show are familiar with. And then my interview guest will actually come on the second half of the show. So I'm really excited to get back into the full momentum, if you will, of the program, and really looking forward to having the gang back on in the Coach's Corner discussions. We've got some great topics we're going to be covering this year. But glad you could join us tonight. As I said, we're wrapping up sort of the preseason, if you will, and I got a very special guest. He's been on a number of times over the last couple of years. One of my favorite guests, Dr. Bernacki. He is the president of the Golf Heritage Society. He is a community-based, self-employed family physician of 35 years who, like many of you listening to the show, loves the game of golf. But he does things a little bit differently. He plays golf in a variety of ways, one being with the old hickory-style clubs. Obviously, he plays steel and some of the modern-era shafts, of course, as well. But he always plays with a period-appropriate ball as well. He's also been active with youth development and drug prevention activities. And he actually had been involved in a leadership role with the First Tee organization in Pittsburgh. Currently, he serves, as I mentioned, the membership of the Golf Heritage Society as their president of the organization. So please welcome back my very special guest, Dr. Bernacki. Dr. Bern, welcome to the show.
Ted, thanks for having me back, and congratulations to you on that outstanding 10-year programming milestone. Terrific.
Well, you know what? Thank you first off, and it's been an interesting journey. And I have to say, what's really kind of unique about it is I have an opportunity to speak with so many different people in our industry, and from a variety of different positions, from tour players to golf instructional coaches to authors to members of organizations like yourself. And so it gets sort of the full gamut, if you will, of the industry, and I've really enjoyed it. I always feel like I get to hear a lot of things that maybe some in my industry. I'm in the golf industry as a teaching professional, and you certainly know a lot of things, but there's a lot of things that you don't get to always come across. So this is sort of is an eye-opener not only for the audience but also for me as well. I get to see a lot of different aspects of the game that we, as I mentioned, both admire and love so much. So thank you again for being my guest again this evening. Always enjoy having you back. You've been back now. I think this is the third or maybe fourth time that you've been back on the show. So you're helping to make the 10 years very exciting and interesting. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I'm just delighted, and we have something in common. That's the good fortune of having so much fun through the game of golf.
Yeah, it is really interesting. It can certainly put you through the gamut, of course, at times. It can run you ragged, and I think at least half of the gray hairs I have on my head are from trying to master this game, which of course you never really fully do. You just keep learning as you go along, but it's always been interesting, but it's fun. So let me start things off. Again, I know that there's a lot of listeners that tune in every week, and I'm sure they've heard you before on the program, but we always like to sort of refresh people's memory, not just for those that tune in regularly, but for some of the new listeners as well. Maybe you could explain a little bit about what the Golf Heritage Society is, what it's about.
Be happy to. Well, the Golf Heritage Society is a 50-year-old organization. We used to be called the Golf Collectors Society, and the Golf Collectors Society really were people that like to get together talking about their collectibles, their balls, their clubs, and those kind of things. And that was fun. And we learned and decided that, wow, there's so many other things about the game of golf and so many of our members have interest in. We, in 2018, broadened the name and the mission to be the Golf Heritage Society. And the mission was expanded a bit. And if you think about it, this society seeks to promote the appreciation for the history and the traditions of the game of golf. And also to bring people together. We see ourselves as sort of a vessel to bring friendship among golf enthusiasts worldwide, to bring people who are golfers and writers and historians and those collectors, of course, especially those collectors of the artifacts and memorabilia, because those items are the things that bring the history of the game of golf to life. And it's really cool because a lot of our folks, when they look at an item, they know a lot about it, who made it, where, under what set of circumstances. And some of our folks are actual experts or authorities or special interests that have taken a lot of time and energy to learn a lot about the different aspect of collecting. And we learned from that, a lot of the folks, the players, the PGA folks, and the golf course superintendents, for example, they all plug right into that. The people, the places, and the events around the game of golf that relate to those artifacts. So it's pretty fun.
So, and we're going to talk about some of the upcoming events a little bit later, but I want to ask you something with respect to the society. So obviously you're very, very familiar with the different things that you do within the society and that. What's some of the feedback that you get when, because obviously you try to educate the public more about the history of the game and honoring obviously the history. But what's some of the feedback that you get from people that maybe don't know a lot about the history when they start to see through, whether it be through events that you guys are doing or just through communications and that? What's some of the feedback that you get, or I guess better way to put it is, what's some of the, aspects of the game that most people maybe don't realize until they get involved with the society and start to learn about the actual history? What are some of the things that you've come across in some of your either trade shows or outings that people say to you, wow, I really didn't know that about the history?
Yeah, that's exactly the point, Ted. When the way we do what we do is getting together, and sometimes that's around playing, and it may be, regular golf and storytelling, or it may be with some designed heritage round around hickory or classic clubs and getting together, or it might be a gathering of folks that want to share a certain type of collectible and have sort of a focus meeting, focus group, if you will. But when people bring new individuals and they can kind of plug into what we're doing and see the connection to the history, they usually have just a few words to say, like, cool, or wow, I didn't know, or I got to learn more. So when we hear that, there's usually a connection for somebody that ought to be a member. And you know what? That's mostly everybody who appreciates the game of golf. So, you know, we're open for all people who want to learn a little bit more on maybe a little different level. It's so much fun around the calendar of the game of golf every year, because you have the Masters and all the you know, just deep, rich history that's associated with the Masters, whether it's collectibles or the people and where they came from. You know, so there's so much about that. And then you move into the U.S. Open and the PGA and the Open, and there's always things to talk about, connecting the current players in those conversations about past winners and where they were played and under what conditions. It's just so much fun to go back and, you know, do those comparisons and have fun helping people learn a little bit more about their favorite event, whether it's the U.S. Open or the Masters or what have you.
Mm-hmm. Are you surprised when you see, particularly the youth? I mean, as I mentioned in the opening, that you worked with the first tee of Pittsburgh and that, so you had obviously access to a lot of youngsters, and I'm sure had many conversations. Are they surprised, is a better way to put it, when they hear about some of the history of the game? Because they see what's on television today, or they see what's out at the golf course today. They weren't around, you know, 20, 30, 40, or even 100 years ago. Are they shocked when you talk to them about some of the history of the game, how it was originally played, and so forth? Are they kind of like taken back a little bit, do you think? And what's been some of the responses there?
Well, the kids are so much fun, and that's a real good segue into a little bit of my first tee. Although there are other youth organizations in addition to the first tee, the PGA, Junior League, and multiple other opportunities for young people, and everywhere where Golf Heritage Society members can either show up or direct people to our website. By the way, that's golfheritage.org. golfheritage.org. We invite people to learn a little bit, but when we're with young people, you know, show and tell is always the best. So if I may tell a quick story, I love to show up with a few old golf balls, and in one I have gutta percha, which is a chunk of Malaysian rubber that used to be used for packing material back when they had transportation with sailing ships. And I will throw a chunk of that over to my right, and a chunk of it is pressed inside of a mold, but not trimmed, so it looks like the planet Saturn with the ring on it. And then one that's been trimmed but not yet painted. And the people that catch those throwaways come on up, and I say, time's up, what do you have there? And it's immediate that they put it together. Well, this is a golf ball, of course, and is this what it came from? The questions flow, and they want to know all about that ball, where it was in history, et cetera, et cetera. So it's always fun to do the show and tell. And always the kids say, they look at you and say at the end, hey, can we play with some of these? And then we're on to the next thing, a chipping and putting event on the putting green. And at the end of that, Ted, they say the same thing. I wonder if we could go out and play a few holes with these. And we always say, sure, let's do that. And it enhances the interest. And when I do it, I make them fill out an application. Why am I doing this? Who are you? Why am I doing this? And what do you expect out of it? And then when they come in after a 6-hole threesomes, either best ball or alternate shot or whatever they're going to go out and play, they'll come back after those holes, and the senior kids will go out and play full 18 with a hickory set that we give them, and I'll have clean and bundle the sticks, and then flip the application over and answer the questions. Well, why did I do this? What did I learn? And what would make this a better event? It's amazing what those kids write down. And some of these kids have gone on to become professional folks, one through the Naval Academy, another through the Army Academy, and I have their comments of what they wrote when they went out and played hickory golf. So it's great fun for them to have that experience.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because I'm always amazed at how little of the history of the game, even some of today's players. I mean, there's obviously certain players that really dove into the history. Ben Crenshaw rings a bell, and there were others, obviously, besides him that really took a vested interest in some of the history of the game and studied it and so forth. But it's amazing, even some of today's players that really don't know that much. I mean, they have a general idea, but really don't know that much about the history of the game itself. They go back maybe 20 or 30 years, depending on their age, and then beyond that, they really don't know. And you were mentioning to me before we came on air that you were at the PGA show. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, the PGA show was real cool. When we went there, they said it was scaled down because of COVID, and some of the big club makers were not present. But it was so big, we had a team of 6 doing different things, interacting with media and conducting interviews. To you talk about extending information beyond the 20-year range. Well, you're right. It's up to people like you, Ted, and me to help educate the public and help them develop an interest and go online and find sources to learn and become more aware. So in Pittsburgh, some of our youngsters really, Arnold Palmer grew up 50 miles to the southeast of the city of Pittsburgh. And we're now recycling back to put classic clubs in the youngsters' hands to help them relate to the Arnold Palmer era. But anyway, a lot of the people that we met in the PGA show were those folks who absolutely grew up with the Palmer, Nicklaus, Player, Trevino, Crenshaw era, and we were very popular. They wanted to, talk with us, and we had so much fun doing it. As you know, and as most of your listeners probably know, the PGA Merchandise Show relates to any and all things that can enhance your interest, enjoyment, performance in the game of golf. That means what you hold in your hand to play, and training devices, and what you wear. And, oh, my God, it's just overwhelming. So much fun to see all old stuff, new stuff, and cool stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing for somebody, and obviously it's an industry-driven show, so it's not open to the general public. But it's a shame in some ways, because it would be very interesting. I think people would really find what they would see at the show very, very interesting. So you mentioned, which is going to lead into the next conversation, about obviously it being scaled down as a result of the last couple of years with COVID. Last year, actually, it was completely virtual only. This year was the first year that they sort of opened the doors again. And but you had mentioned to me as well off air that you guys had to make some adjustments. Obviously, when COVID hit in 2020, there was a lot of uncertainty what was going to happen. And many of your events, if not all of your events early on, were probably, as many others were, canceled. So you guys had to make some adjustments. You said you found some interesting ways to really still get the message and still communicate with various members and still get the information out there. So maybe you could share a little bit about what you guys did during this pandemic to sort of keep the wheels moving.
Absolutely, Ted. There's nothing like being together in person. You and I are in different towns doing this show and having a good time with the listeners, and that's great. But it's always cool to be together, eye to eye, show and tell, having a beverage, etc. So when we were at the PGA show, it was fun because we got back with media folks and those PGA pros, people may not understand it, but your PGA pro, you say it's a industry and it's sort of closed, but the golf professionals, whether they're at a club or a public course, they're going out doing their homework. They're doing their shopping. They're doing some of their educationals, and they're bringing all the latest and greatest, the new and exciting, back to you, the average golfer, the person who's going to enjoy their efforts, the fruit of their efforts all year long. So it will be remiss if I didn't tip my cap to the PGA professionals who are out there getting ready for the season, just like you and I are gearing up as well. But anyway, when we couldn't get together in person so much, it was tough, because the show and tell was a little bit difficult. But what we started to do, we did it first with our board, was to get together online, and we discovered these face-to-face applications. We used Zoom, and we started to be able to see people's expressions on the board when we were talking. But we also got the idea, hey, we can call some of our friends, some of the famous, and we can share some cool stuff with our members. So the members of ours who had a computer or a smartphone who could respond to an invitation, and we use Constant Contact to reach out to them and say, hey, we're going to have a party. It's a grand Zoom series. And we invented that term, and we started inviting folks. And we had Bob Jones IV, grandson of the great Bobby Jones, and we had an hour chat with him, and he answered questions at the end for those members of ours who came online to see him and to interact. So this has become a seasonal thing. We had the summer series and the fall series. I'm now engaging the winter series, and it's great fun. People always learn, and they have a chance to hear some inside stories that probably won't appear in a book for one reason or another. So it's sort of an insider's look that our folks who are members get to do that live, and we record them and put those on our website. So our website has become more and more valuable to our members, Ted, by using that technology, keeping the Zoom calls, and letting our members go back time and again. So that's one really good way that we've used it. If I can continue another, I have a special in my medical practice with my oldsters. They're really cool people, especially my 90-plus group. They've been around the block. They've seen a lot, and they've got some opinions, and they didn't get there by being shy. So most of the time, I really enjoy them and their golf journey. So I've started recording some of their stories. I've showed up on a couple of doorsteps and said, hey, tell me about your experience in a game of golf. And believe it or not, I just sit there and listen and record. And, oh, my gosh, the stories that they will tell, and those are very, very meaningful for our audience, our own listeners, our own members. So there's a couple of examples of how you adapt. Ted?
Yep. I can hear you. Oh, so, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Ted. Somebody's dog's behind him. It's not me.
Yeah. That's okay. Sorry about that.
Oh, we're good.
Go ahead.
So the technology might be just a little intimidating for our folks. And, of course, we're putting together a team to help anybody and everybody to help them plug into the technology if they need some assistance on getting onto our website and navigating it and getting onto a Zoom call. So we have volunteers that will make it easy to do. So people that come onto our website can take a quick look-see and see the list of all these things. And we hope that they'll spend $50 for a year's membership and then have access to all the people who are our greatest resource, all those authorities that I mentioned, and the wealth of information and entertainment that they might get by being a visitor to our website and taking advantage of some of these membership benefits.
And what's interesting is about that is the fact that, being able to now access this technology, which, has been around for a little while, but, it's the industry, as many other industries have really kind of been forced through this pandemic to sort of find other ways of communicating with one another in addition to some of our traditional ways. So really, in many ways, it's opened up a new door for you guys to be able to share some of the experiences and some of the history even further to a much even broader audience. I mean, obviously, coming on shows like this and doing other programs and things certainly helps, and certainly visiting the website. But now you're able to bring, discussions or memories of some of your more senior clientele, and that to be able to share some of that, record it, and then upload it, as you said, to your website, giving people an opportunity to share their own personal experiences, which obviously benefits everybody all the way around. So I think that's a great way that you guys have utilized that over the last couple of years during a difficult time for all of us.
Hey, Ted, we went to the San Diego show for the GCSAA. For those folks who don't know those initials, that's Golf Course Superintendents Association of America. Their conference and their trade show is called the Big Show in golf, because they have the people that bring the tractors and the fertilizers and all the things that are brought to bear, the irrigation systems that allow us to enjoy the game of golf on terra firma. And boy, you talk about expanding your horizons. When our team went out there to see, I'm telling you, we sat with people and they told stories about their careers as a superintendent and how meticulous they are about agronomy and learning the grasses and, the timing of watering. Oh, my goodness, what a learning experience it was for me. And meeting those people, inviting them to go to golfheritage.org. I'm telling you, it was really, really good for us.
Yeah, and again, this is another area of the game that a lot of people don't really understand what goes on behind. It's not just the equipment, but also the golf courses themselves, what goes into preparing the variety of different courses that are out there. There's a lot of work that goes behind it, everything from the turf itself to other aspects to the undulations and the greens, what goes into preparing that, for golf courses. So, yeah, I'm sure it would be a very eye-opening experience for virtually anybody, but even people that are associated with the industry that maybe don't always know what goes on behind. So I could see that would be a very interesting opportunity for yourself and others involved. So let's talk about, if you wouldn't mind, let's talk about some of, now last year we were talking a little bit about events. Now you had an event last year, I believe, your national convention, which was in around September in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Were you able to do that? It was also a trade show as well. I think it was open to the public. Was that able to go through as you have in the past, or did that have to go more virtual because of the restrictions still?
Well, we did both, Ted, and I'm very, very, very pleased to say that it was our biggest and best show ever, and the feedback that we got was terrific. And the reason we got good feedback was because, and we did it safely, we used a large enough place that we were able to social distance, wear masks, and use all the hand protection and everything you do, even with collectibles. Right. It was how conscious and cooperative people were. But our program, Ed, was really diverse. We had a section on golf art, and we had artists that were portrait painters and landscape painters. We had 4 artists and 2 virtually. They had a little trouble staying with us, but we had Linda Harto come on, and she's one of the more recognizable, if not the most recognizable, landscape golf artist, and she was just a delight. and a couple of older members and newer members. A young lady named Steph Maraca, and look up Steph's work, and she's a wonderful landscape artist and golf interested architect representative as well. So when we were in Monroeville, PA, 10 miles east of Pittsburgh, we went another 20 miles out to Latrobe Country Club, Arnold Palmer's home place, and we played our event there, both Hickory and Classics. So when we get people together on the same day playing modern and back to Classic and back to Hickory, we're calling that a heritage golf. And it's what we do now. And you and I can go out, and I'll call you and say, what are we playing today? And you may say, well, I'm going to play my moderns. And I'll say, I'm feeling like I'm going to play this course with Classic clubs because it's where Arnold Palmer grew up, and that's what he played. And that is exactly what I did. And it was a gorgeous, wonderful day given to us probably by Mr. Palmer and his dad themselves. And they smiled on us, and we had a fabulous time there. It was great.
Yeah, and there's a lot of history there. Obviously, Arnold was a big proponent, not only playing the game, but obviously with the history of the game as well. And I think that's very, very cool that you were able to sort of partake in some of that. I want to move on to some of the other events and things that are coming up in the calendar this year. So, for instance, you have your National Hickory Championship, which is going to be at Foxburg Country Club in Foxburg, Pennsylvania, and that's from June 2nd to 4th. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, for those listeners who don't know, Berg is 1887. A gentleman named Fox came back from Scotland with a bundle of sticks, and everybody wanted to know what they were and what to do with them. And they developed a 6-hole golf course, which became a 9-hole, then an 18, and now down to the 9, most of them original, at Foxburg, which is about an hour north of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, just above Route 80. And that golf course has not the original clubhouse, but an old log cabin style with a great porch on it. And upstairs they have a museum of antique golf clubs that is impressive, if not as big as the USGA. It has some of the old and very interesting clubs. The course itself is played today with modern clubs, and when we show up, we play closer with the gutty, pre-1900 smooth face, and that solid ball that I talked about, made out of that Malaysian rubber. Of course, we use replicas because a 100-year-old ball would go to powder as soon as you hit it. And I have to tell you, we discovered they had these boxes. They're about 3 feet long, 1.5 feet wide, and they have made of cement, and they have 2 holes in them, 2 square holes, one for the water and one for the sand, so that you can make your own sand tee and tee off in period, dressed in period, off and hit your gutty ball off a sand tee. That's Foxburg, the way it was played when it was originated.
Wow, that's very cool.
So you did it. You
know that
wow word, and cool word.
Well, and again, this is really what it's all about, is to allow people to see that, what they're visualizing on television today is a much different game than what it was, 100 or so years ago. And so this is what's really unique about what the Golf Heritage Society brings to the table is you're, sort of allowing people to walk down the history of the game to where it is today. Now, I know on the 26th of June, you also have another event. It's a local qualifier. That's going to be in the Glengarry Country Club in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. Tell us about that. What's that all about, and how is that being set up?
Well, this is a wonderful event with modern club play at Glengarry. And it's going to be it's sponsored by a group that we partner with, and that group is going to have a competitive That's their national championship, as I understand it, that will define the 4 players from 4 different levels who will represent the going over to Scotland. And I believe there's going to be 3 or 4 international teams out there. And so they'll have a lower handicap, a middle handicap, and a higher handicap group go out there. Now, the Golf Heritage Society is going to partner with those amateurs in that event. And some of our members, Golf Heritage Society members, may decide to go as ambassadors for the American sport of the game of golf. And we may go over there and play Castle Stewart, take our hickories and play it. So it's going to be a very new thing, a unique thing, and all of your listeners who are a little shy about playing classics or hickory golf are welcome to get involved with that group and organization to participate and maybe even win that free trip. And if they don't and they want to come with us anyway, they'll be more than welcome to join up with the crew that's going over there.
Now, also, too, during that day, and the variety of different activities, is also a fundraising component for the Arnold and Winnie Palmer Foundation. How did that come about?
Well, that same gentleman, Randy Tank Tanglinger, who's sponsoring and running that amateur modern tournament, he's a videographer, and he's a cool guy. And, he and I met along with First Tee when I was board chair doing some promotional. He heard about the Heritage, and he made a video for me for that, which we still use. And, he is a force. He showed up on his own and said, hey, can I do some video production for you guys, recording the play at Latrobe Country Club? And he did that. So we're kind of become partners, fast friends, if you will. And he's a tremendous guy, and we want to see he and his events be just as successful because, just like our mission statement says, hey, bringing people together in friendship around the game of golf. So it's very fulfilling to work with Randy and see him bring the modern players a little closer to see the history that we're bringing when we play.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And in July 14th to the 16th, you're having the Keeper of the Spirit Gutty Challenge in Eagle Springs, Wisconsin. Tell us about that event.
Yeah, so this one is sponsored by a different group called the Society of Hickory Golfers, and all my dear good friends who play only hickory golf. Some of the folks play a variety of things like myself, and some of the guys are very dedicated. They enjoy a specific type of golf, whether it's pre-1900 gutty golf or post-1900 with a modern ball. Golf is golf, even though it's very different from what you see on television. It's the same. We're all striking a ball, and we're trying to put it in that hole. And
right.
When you go out there in Wisconsin, you find some very passionate players playing that hickory event. The course is phenomenal. I've not yet had the pleasure of being them on that course, but everybody raves about it. So if you want to give hickory a try, that's a wonderful opportunity. And those folks are super accommodating. Every time I've been, up north there, I just marvel at how friendly and how accommodating and hospitable golfers are everywhere, but in particular these hickory events. They're fun.
Yeah, and then you come back in August, the 11th, 13th, you come back for the Foxburg Hickory Championship back at the same country club in Foxburg, Pennsylvania. Now, is that a follow-up event from the earlier one?
Well, that's the original. That is your 13th and a guy named Ton Johnson from Ohio, who's a Hickory guy, said, hey, there ought to be an annual Hickory event at Foxburg, and we established it. Now, the NHC that's played in June is the national championship with the pre-1900, the original tournament. It's in year 25. Even if you're not playing, that would be an event to come to Foxburg, either in June or in August to witness. And you will see any number of good players and hackers like me go out there dressed in period and have a great time. And you'll say, man, I wish I could get my hands on a few of those sticks. And guess what? On that porch, you can pick up a few of those sticks and bang them around and maybe even buy a few. Cheap.
Very good. And rolling into September, into nice fall weather, is going to be the U.S. Hickory Open, and that's going to be catered at the Mission Inn Resort in Florida. That is obviously an annual event as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, our friends with the Society of Hickory Golfers, that is their keynote event. That is their top shelf event. They're going to use 2 golf courses because it's been so popular that the highly competitive lower handicap golfers really gravitate to that. And now with the second course offering, more Hickory players who aren't as low handicap but want to go and have a great time, they're going to be there and be accommodated, which I really applaud them for that adjustment. And the Golf Heritage Society, yours truly, and our team are going to bring a trade show. Just like in our own annual event, we're going to try to help them bring folks with stuff, golf collectibles, those historical artifacts that speak about their own history, and the experts that can explain all about it. So we're hoping to partner with them for that event. And our plans are to support them and invite all of you to see how this works, and whether you play or watch, look and learn. When you go to a trade show, you can not spend a dime and just walk around and learn about old stuff and really become absorbed in the game, or you can start to pick up a few things and develop some collecting interest or boost a collection you already have. And a little bit later on in September, the Golf Heritage Society's National Convention rolls around again, this time in Indianapolis. Where is there anything special planned for this season, things now that things have opened up a little bit more? Are you still going to sort of do an in-person but also still incorporate some of the virtual aspects to it as well? What have you got planned for this year? Yeah, so thanks, Ted. Yes, I mentioned that we had a very successful convention on the program strength, and we have a lot of good ideas to pick up on, slightly different but equally interesting. By the way, last year we partnered with the USGA. They sent representatives and made a presentation. It's very likely that they will again work with us and send a team and do another interesting presentation. And of course, we'll dream up some things that have our club and ball collector people in awe. Last year it was the history of the golf wedge. This year I'm not sure what it'll be. It may be the evolution of the golf wood from then till now. That will be my personal preference, but I'm not on the programming committee. And we'll visit an old famous club, and we'll play heritage golf. You can bring what you want. So if you're listening and saying, man, that would be cool, but I don't dare dress in period yet, but I will bring my my modern clubs and play, sure, that'd be great. You'd be welcome to come with us. So we are going to dream up a couple of special things, taking advantage of the Midwest charm and the people who are there to come up with their answer to the Arnold Palmer, Arnie's Amigos, that helped us run our event in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. So stay tuned. Very cool. And then in October,
as I understand it, you'll be heading over to Scotland, correct?
Well, there's an opportunity, and this is kind of a cool story. This is how we roll, Ted. One of our board members, Taba Dale, has a life partner named Kevin McGrath. And not only do they both love golf and playing on famous old golf courses, they've gotten together and put together a golf travel business targeting Ireland mostly, but also the UK in general. And they, over the years, have become pretty connected and approached the folks at Prestwick that they know to see if maybe we could have a Golf Heritage Society Day at Prestwick this October, and we held our breath. And they said yes. So we're putting together a group, and we're hoping to play a special day like they do over there, the original 12 holes of Prestwick, probably with, I'm going to play Hickory if I go, and probably I will. And it'll be just after my 70th birthday, so my wife will probably give me permission. And yes, we'll play in the morning, and then we'll do lunch like they do it, and then we'll go out in the afternoon, and we'll play the same holes in a different way. Americans play, they're 18 with their clubs, with their buddies, and then they go out and do it again next week. Well, the Brits say that, why don't you play alternate shot for half of it? You get back to the clubhouse faster, and you can have an extra beverage.
Right. I think I kind of like that set up a little bit better. And this is obviously in honor of the 150th anniversary of the Open Championship. Now, there is a limit. You're trying to limit it to about 36 participants, obviously, for timing and so forth and that. But it sounds like a really great opportunity. And I know that there is, I've been on your website, so I know that there is a PDF that gives you more information in that as well. I haven't opened the PDF, obviously, yet, but I know that there was one on there when I was on the website earlier. So if people are interested in maybe taking advantage or participating in this special event in October, do they need to sort of hop on that now? And can they? What do they need to do in order to sort of be included? Just sort of fill out a form and submit it, or what's the process?
So, Ted, I hope they do. I hope they join the Golf Heritage Society. You go online, boom, you can be an instant member with your PayPal card or your credit card, and you get the first priority to sign on to this venture. And if you decide to stay a little longer, either before or after, we're working with groups, Taba and Kevin, of course, and others to accommodate folks. If you didn't know it, tee times are hard to come by because of playing catch up with COVID delays. So it's good to have a friend in the. So yes, we're looking for 36 individuals to participate, and our members will have priority. And then it will be opened up to our friends in Canada, our friends in Great Britain. Of course, our Golf Heritage friends, the Society of Hickory Golfers. So, yes, it will be a good idea to do that in the next day or so rather than put it off.
Well, there's a lot of great information on your website, golfheritage.org. And obviously we want the listeners to go and visit the website and the events that we talked about. There's some information there. There's also, for those that are interested in collecting, maybe want to get an idea. Also, there's some resources as well. And you can reach out and contact the Golf Heritage Society there. There's a contact and also media link there as well. And obviously, if they're interested in becoming a member, they can click right there to join the GHS, as you're calling it for short, but the Golf Heritage Society. So a lot of great opportunities for people to really learn about the game. And, as you move forward with the process, I know that you're trying to add more and do more things as time moves on. Is there anything that's currently not listed that you're looking at for maybe the future down the road that you're wanting to add, and maybe additional special events of that sort? Is there anything that you guys are kind of working on right now that maybe hasn't quite come final yet, but that you're looking forward to do in the future?
Yes. Ted, it was like I gave you $10 to ask me that question. And I am very, this is sort of a build on the technology question. Not only did we start to bring on famous people and plug them into our members and save it and put it on our website, now what we're doing is we're taking people with those special interests. Well, I'm interested in golf course architecture, or I'm interested in all the major players who played in the Ryder Cup, and I want to connect with people who do that. That's exactly where we're going. We're putting together subgroups to put these folks together behind our social media platform to say, if you're a member, you can come on with other members who have like interests. We do have a Facebook page and a Facebook group page. It's free. People can come and take a look at us. And it's cool because we're constantly putting interesting materials on there, content on there. But the people that are members and want to hook up with people who want to really spend some time together, pick every Tuesday night or something and get on a Zoom call and show what they found this week or what they learned as a historical research project. And there's plenty of our writer folks who do that. It's amazing the variety and depth and breadth of groups that we have within the Golf Heritage Society. There's 1,000 ways, if not 10,000 ways, to enjoy the game of golf, and it sort of struck us that when we get together, you come together for a convention and you get to meet some people, but then you go home. Now we're going to have them be able to come together online and have a regular opportunity to exchange and be friends. It'll be great. Right.
Well, it sounds fantastic. You've got certainly a full plate for 2022 that is starting to unfold, and I'm glad that things have opened up enough that you're able to enjoy in person, because I agree, as much as it's interesting to have online presence and communicate that way, it's also even more exciting to be able to get together in person and share some interesting stories and some additional knowledge with one another. So, Dr. Bern, I want to thank you very much for joining me tonight. And again, that website is golfheritage.org. Now that the show is winding down, you can all, if you haven't already done so, you can go online and visit the website and check out some of the things that we talked about tonight, and maybe join the Golf Heritage Society. By doing so, you can go to golfheritage.org. Dr. Bern, I want to thank you very much for joining me once again and being my special guest here on Golf Talk Live. It's always a pleasure.
Ted, thank you so much for having me, and I hope that your audience had some fun with us tonight. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Bern. Bye-bye. All right. That was my very special guest, Dr. Bernacki, president of the Golf Heritage Society. And again, if you go to golfheritage.org is the website, you can get all the information and more about what we talked about tonight. Appreciate his time and sharing some of the things that they've done. And obviously, as many of us had to do, expand on technology during this pandemic to be able to share a lot of the information around the world. And obviously, it sounds like it's benefited their organization very well, as it has so many others. Thanks again for joining me. Next week, as I mentioned, we'll be back to our full schedule from 6 to 8 p.m. Central here in the blogtalkradio.com network. We'll be reconnecting with the Coach's Corner panel. Got a great group coming on next Thursday, March the 3rd. So make sure you tune in, and then I'll have another interesting guest as well to follow. So thanks again for joining us. Again, thank you to Dr. Bernacki, president of the Golf Heritage Society, for being my special guest this evening. I'll see you next week. God bless everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this week's broadcast of Golf Talk Live. Ted would like to thank this evening's special guest for joining him on the show. Remember to join Ted every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central on Golf Talk Live. You can also listen to Golf Talk Live on any of these social media platforms: iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, CastBox, TalkStream Live, and of course Spotify. Be sure to follow Ted on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're interested in being a guest on the show, send an email to Ted at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. This has been a production of the iGolf Sports Network.